Hey guys, welcome back to Resistance Chicks. We're your hosts, Leah and Michelle. Today is the 15th of September 2019. We have a great show for you today. To me, I want to start off with the best news, and that is the fact that Tommy is finally out of prison. And you want to say jail, but it's not jail. It literally is prison.
Tell him the most maximum prison in all of
It's like Guantanamo Bay. It is the most maximum. It was a civil offense that they actually said he hadn't really even committed, okay? But they kind of threw him in jail anyway and then put him in solitary confinement. And the whole thing is just one big joke after another.
It was an accident. It was not like he committed murder. He didn't rob anybody. He didn't steal. He didn't do anything.
Right.
He obviously didn't commit any violent crimes. He asked police if he could even do the reporting that he was doing the reporting on.
I know.
And he was not even jailed for a reporting ban.
Well, and the judge even said to him that she didn't feel that he had done it intentionally anyway. So it was a mistake to start with. So what Tommy said in this interview with Ezra is that he was convicted for a mistake. Yeah. Like, not even like, okay, Hillary's email, she could say that was a mistake. It's not even that kind of mistake. I mean, it's literally like a mistake. It's equivalent,
in my opinion, to trying to walk through security with a pocket knife.
And so you get sent to a maximum security prison,
right,
in solitary confinement for that. Now, he has been released, and Ezra picked him up and took him to McDonald's. And it was so funny in the interview. I know, yeah, I would definitely be doing that. In his interview, he said he's been watching the commercials, and he knew that I think it was the double quarter pounder was on sale and available until September 24th. So he wanted to go and get the double quarter pounder from McDonald's. Yeah, so first of all, what I want to play for you guys is what happened when Tommy came out of jail. You won't even recognize him with the beard and the hair, but the difference is this time he's totally composed. And when he came out of prison last time, he said in his interview with Ezra yesterday that when he was coming out of prison the first time, he thought he was totally fine. And it wasn't until he watched it back and he was like, oh my gosh, I was totally messed up. And that just goes to show you what that time in prison will do to you. So I want you guys to watch the interview with Ezra, and I will put a link to that in the description. But I'm going to play for you what happened as soon as he comes out of jail. Before Ezra takes him to get his hair cut and shave, before the McDonald's, he is greeted by these reporters who are pretty much prosecuting him right there on the spot. And Tommy does a great job of defending himself. So that's the video that I wanted to...
I think the squawking is over.
Start off with.
We're good.
Oh, the squawking. Yeah, one of us was going to go outside and check on the chickens because they were like going nuts.
Like hawk is
like, yeah, it was alert. Danger, danger, danger. Oops, that's the wrong one. Hang on. That's you guys. Say hi to yourselves. Let's switch over here.
Hi, selves.
Here we go. All right.
So Tommy's out, and so are the mainstream worms and leeches. Tommy and Ezra Levant were met by this mess from the Daily Mirror. And it didn't take long for Tommy to tell him exactly what he thought.
So I look like a little cowardly convert coming out of jail. Salam alaikum. You read their lies. You read their lies. The Daily Mirror lied, saying I was attacked. The Daily Mirror lied, saying I was attacked in this prison. You lied. Yeah, you lied to the public. You made up an entire story, or you're part of the propaganda that's pushed out. My only message to them is, you're a disgrace and embarrassment, because if this happened to a journalist in Hong Kong, if what's happened to me happened to a journalist in Russia, in China, you'd all be up in arms. But because I talk about Islam, you're all silent. You're all complicit in the attack on free speech that we're witnessing. You're all complicit on what's happened to our country. All of the media are.
Well, that's a great point. Right now, there's Venezuela.
I was found guilty by an appointed judge. By an appointed judge 2 weeks before.
And who's this chippy little bastard?
No, not by jury. Common law, English common law, says that if you can face over 6 months in prison, you get a jury. I was not given a jury.
Do you think you'd be not guilty if it was a jury?
I know I'd have got found not guilty, and so do they. It's the only offence in the whole entire country yeah, that you can get taken to prison for up to 2 years without a jury. Without a jury.
That's how contempt works. That's
no, that's not how
contempt works. That's
that's not how English common law works. So that goes against English common law. And why was I at the Old Bailey? You tell me as a journalist, why was I at the Old Bailey? 13 murder trials and me for holding my phone up. And I was convicted of
high profile, Tommy.
Because I'm high profile, that's why I'm at the Old Bailey.
Well, maybe it is.
What difference does that make?
Because they know you're going to have all your fans are going to be there.
What difference
and
does
they
it
know
make?
because obviously the security procedures aren't the same as the Old Bailey as they are at other courts.
Well, I've been to 10 different courts over the years. They've never moved me to Old Bailey.
Your popularity has increased. Look how popular you are.
I'm glad you recognise that.
Tommy, it's really
because of your failures.
It's weird to have the media debating with you.
Arguing because they're not media. They are not media. They're not journalists reporting stories.
I've never seen this before. That a journalist is taking the role of the prosecutor. I mean, I like a good prickly question myself, but of course I've never seen this except for
question people. It's our job.
No, you're not questioning. You're telling me. You didn't question. You're telling me. But at the same time.
You know, this morning when you came out of prison, I think there was only one other group of journalists there. There might have been a second, but the Daily Mirror was there. And it was remarkable to me. The reporter from the Daily Mirror was not just, I like a reporter that asks a tough question. That's the only interesting kind of reporter there is. But he wasn't asking you a question. He was prosecuting you. He was telling you why you were wrong and why
like
the
a 5-year-old.
system was
Yeah.
When he doesn't know. He doesn't know.
He's not well briefed in the facts, but that's fine. A lot of journalists are ignorant. Maybe I shouldn't be shocked anymore, but he was saying, no, this is excellent. You specifically said if this happened in Russia or Venezuela, we'd be shocked. He said, no, this is exactly. I couldn't believe a journalist was exuberant about your censorship.
They're not. He's not. They're activists rather than journalists.
But I haven't seen one journalist in the entire United Kingdom, other than a couple of guys at Breitbart. Not one at the Telegraph, at the Times, at the Mirror, at the Mail, at the Sun. Not one.
Well, my frustrating thing is, you said he was from the Mirror. The Mirror, whilst I was in prison, the Mirror ran a story, which actually the governor come in with Ross Kemp with the newspaper to say. And it's front page of the newspaper. And there was this story put out in the Daily Mirror. So the audacity of that journalist to come from the same paper, which absolutely made up a story.
They said that you were knocked out in one punch by a 70-year-old pensioner in the showers. I got that news in Canada. It was front page news in the Daily Express, and I think the Mirror picked it up.
Daily Star, the Mirror, the Radio.
The Star, that's right. It was the Daily Star. And I thought to myself, and you were incommunicado. I thought that can't be right. But maybe it was, if it's on the front page of the Star.
Front page, the upsetting thing for me is that I ring home and my kids have been sent. So my kids think I'm being attacked in jail, which isn't true. But the other thing is that story's gone out. No, they didn't even ring the prison. It's completely lying. The purpose for that, if you read the story, there's 2 pages in the paper as well. If you read that story, it paints an image of who I am. It says that I come into prison thinking I'm the big man.
Yeah, they said you walked in with a swagger.
And I believe.
Okay, so I'm going to finish this right here because I want to
finish the story because you were
Okay.
telling. No, you can finish
And then it
it.
said,
Stop it. Finish the story because what you told me was that there were 2 separate incidences where the warden came to Tommy and said, "This is bad for the.
This is bad for the image of the prison. This is really, really bad." Like, kind of almost expecting Tommy to do something, and Tommy's pretty much like, "Listen, I have nothing to do with this. Maybe now you'll see."
And even if even if Tommy was beat up, why would he go to Tommy and not the supposed person who hit him?
Right. But I did gather from the rest of the interview with Ezra that Tommy has such a great, they call him the governor, respect for the governor of Belmarsh prison, that he treated him really well. Like, I guess somebody from the health ward had to come and check on him every day, and somebody like high up, like either the governor or like directly below him, had to come and check on him every single day because he was in solitary confinement.
Well, and then tell the viewers how he did have conversations with Julian Assange.
He did, so that was finally confirmed, which to me blew my mind, that I guess Julian Assange was in a health ward that was like 2 levels up, and there was kind of like, I guess, a common area the way that I'm perceiving it, and it goes like up, and so he was actually able to see and converse with Julian Assange, and Ezra asks him, can you reveal what your conversation was? And he says, No, because it was a conversation about a mutual friend of ours, and that needs to remain, kind of confidential, even though Ezra's like, it's not really that confidential because you were yelling it up and down, to each other. But he did say that Julian Assange has pretty much said that his confinement has been really, really hard on his health. And so you could see the empathy and sympathy for Tommy having that for Julian Assange for what he's going through. And the fact that these two incredible people were in the same prison, in the same unit at the same time, not really the same unit, but enough so that they could talk to each other. To me, it almost feels like fate and the Lord, Providence. I just think it's really, really incredible for Tommy to be able to say, listen, I talked to Julian Assange. That's absolutely huge. It blows
my mind, and I do believe that's Providence. Now, what heartened me was, knowing that Tommy's prison stay was better here. Yeah. Tell them about that, how he had more money to spend.
Well, I guess previously he was only given a certain stipend, not the money. He has money. He could, but the ability to actually spend it on canned fruit. Okay. He just wants some canned fruit, I want to say like double or triple what it was previously. In addition to that, he didn't feel like obviously somebody was going to be poisoning his food, because in the other prison, so many Muslims had access to be able to kind of poison his food that was given to him. And this time he felt totally confident to actually eat the food.
The guards were pleasant.
The guards were pleasant. The guard's job, or someone's job, was to come to him every single day, or at least 6 days a week, and walk him to the bicycle, the exercise bike. And he was so, and you can imagine when you're in solitary confignment, like you'll hang on to the smallest of things.
That's what you do. Yeah.
And he hung on to this exercise bike, and he wanted to get to that exercise bike. He got an hour on it every single day. And he said that, I know this is really petty and silly and stupid, but you could tell even in the retelling of it, he's still angry about it. There were 4 days that they forgot to come and get him. And he's like, you'd be sitting there in the jail and you're in your cell and you're just ready to get on the bike, and they don't come and get you, and it makes you mad. Like, cause you're just, waiting all day long. Now he was able to have visitors this time. He was able to have phone calls with his family. And so they were able to get a feel for how well he was doing.
And I think he actually is playing it to be a little bit better than it was, because trying to get to go see him from the outside, right, Ezra and people did have a hard time.
Yeah.
His family did have a hard time getting a hold of him.
Well, he finally got his mail, I want to say like halfway through, and he spent 5 hours a day. He said he read every single letter that was sent to him, and he was so encouraged to just hear the different stories of people that would maybe want to go to the rallies, and they would tell their story about how their family didn't want them to go and what they had to go through, and just kind of sharing in their experience. He said so many people said, listen, I've been following you for the past 12 months, but prior to that, I didn't. But the past 12 months have shown me just how much faith I have lost in our judicial system here in the United Kingdom, that nothing is as it seems. And they are just praying for his release. They're praying, for his safety. Now, I'll end on this, and I want you guys to, like I said, go and watch the interview yourself. But he said that, when he was sitting in his cell, there were lots of times where he was just like, what next? Not really what he's going to do next, because he has a lot of plans, but what are they going to try next?
Here's his first stop at McDonald's.
Yeah. What are they going to try next to do to him? And that's, it's really sad that he should have to process that, and to be thinking like, when he does have another court date, set up. And so we'll be following that. But he has plans. He wants to finish his documentary on Israel Shalom. And that was a guy that was put to death pretty much for reporting, essentially.
And then you said that he wants to kind of go.
He wants to go into towns where these rape gangs are actually happening. He wants to live there for 4 weeks at a time, and 4 to 6 weeks, and have a video crew following him around. And he's going to interview the victims. He's going to interview the families, and he's going to go in and confront these shop owners that are hosting these pedophile gangs, and so on and so forth. And so Tommy is going to need your support, and he's going to need your prayers, because in all honesty, I believe what he is doing is right, and I'm praying that he find Jesus so that he can have a hedge of protection around him as he moves forward.
This from the Breitbart, a little bit extra here. Mr. Robinson said, this should be an embarrassment for the British government, for the judiciary. The judge said it was unintentional, had zero effect on the trial, and would result in a journalist being put in prison, spending 2.5 months in the HMP only, and then 9 weeks at the HMP Belmarsh. Breitbart London reported that the HMP Belmarsh this week, from revealing that the cell Tommy was housed in previously housed notorious Islamist terrorist killer Michael Adebeljo, one of the pair who murdered British soldier Lee Rigby, by running him over with a car and then attempting to decapitate him with a knife. And Tommy Robinson broke a protocol, supposedly, and we don't even think that he did.
Right.
A particular feature of this prison stretch for Mr. Robinson has been the posts and emails he received from well-wishers, the volume of letters being such that reading them consumed 4 hours a day. So this is from Breitbart. Now, what we'll show you here, we are going to go into, obviously, Brexit, but let's show you real quick. Tommy, you did that one. Tommy just, let's see.
Ezra Levant, I'm standing outside HMP Belmarsh, the prison outside London where Tommy Robinson has been incarcerated for these past 66 days. Behind me you can see photographers from the Daily Mirror, the only photographer.
So I think that might be
to your supporters who have been rooting for you these past 66 days.
Yep. I'd say it's been I've enjoyed reading the support and hearing the support. For me, the main thing for this should be an embarrassment to the British government, an embarrassment to the judiciary. In the judge's words, so let's pretend I did commit contempt of court, which I didn't. In her words, it was unintentional. So something that was unintentional that had zero effect on a trial would result in a man, a journalist, being put in prison, spending 2.5 months of solitary confinement in Onley, and this is the crazy thing. I walked into Belmarsh prison and walked out without seeing another prisoner.
But in a way, that was good because
he walked into and out of the prison without seeing one other prisoner.
I know, that's crazy. Well, except for Assange.
Only they would have killed you if they could.
Didn't see him?
No, they would have done. Essentially, the governor here has done.
What I heard from the interview.
I don't have a negative word to say about Belmarsh prison, or any of the staff.
Other than the insanity that you were.
And okay, so there's that. Maybe Michelle can find this one I just played, and I wanted you to see him. This is just a happy video. His kids don't know yet, or they do. I don't know. But here they are.
Oh, Michelle.
They've grown up so much. So, it may seem like, I think that there might be some viewers that say, oh, Tommy should just save those moments or whatever. Absolutely not. Here's the deal. That's the reason why it's actually really important to share that is because Tommy needs support and he needs the word to get, that's not fake. Those are real emotions. The word to get out there that it's not just some guy that the British government and the powers that be in the world, the globalists that be, are trying to sentence. This is a real man with family who has a heart. And so for his own safety, for his own support, they have to show the, the human side.
Because
exactly.
What you're saying
they paint him as a monster.
What you're saying is that the left-wing media, which is all the mainstream media, paint him as a inhuman monster.
Right.
And he is a human, and the reason he goes overboard a lot, even in the things that he says and does, he's never been violent. He's never gone after anybody.
Exactly.
Words, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words may hurt me. I don't know how I got to this place where I listened to This one I watched earlier. You guys are going to really enjoy this interview. You never know where it's going to end up at. You guys are going to enjoy this interview with Rob Moore that Worth a Look sent me.
So Stuart the Brit says, looking on the positive side, this time in prison has given him more credibility as a stalwart, stands for what he believes.
That's true. This is an interview here with Katie Hopkins.
Likened them to cockroaches. I said that, and I stand by it. They're going to come for your home with lawfare. They're going to come for your head, a couple of jihadis. They're going to come for you. They're going to come for you. Because I don't think I've got anything to hide. Just unapologetically me.
This was a really fun interview, but she was actually pretty funny and really warm with this guy who does this entrepreneur podcasts. And he is taking some hits for doing this. But she's kind of changed a lot. And why I brought this up was because Katie Hopkins was the female Pierce Morgan, and she was a very wealthy columnist from the Daily Mail. She wrote for the Daily Mail, and she was fired around the same time we started to get censored. Right. And she was then subsequently fired. They were just looking for an excuse to get her off the LBC. And for what I will keep repeating this.
Right.
Ever since I was a kid and we would watch some British humor, like on PBS, or even just like Notting Hill with
so
Hugh
the word
Grant.
that comes is a little crass.
The humor. I mean, and then I grew up with everybody wanting to watch the Monty Python videos here in America.
Yeah.
The British humor has always tipped the scales to where you could not do anything too vulgar in British humor.
Very true.
There was no
that's just too low,
or that's too gross, or that's too far.
Right.
And what's surprisingly, and it's always usually like a sexual thing or a or the curse words. The cursing in Britain is just like over the top, like F-bombs. It's crazy. However, that wasn't her issue. Right. If she was crass or overtly sexual or overtly, cursing,
which she is a little.
But that's
not any more than any other Brit, I think.
But that wasn't what got her kicked off.
Right.
She hit too close to home on issues that are sacred now, sacred cows, and it's almost as if the people in the UK have become Hindu, and walking around are these sacred cows and these sacred animals, and if you're starving, you still can't eat them.
Right.
And we're all just like, no, I'm sorry. People are not reincarnated as a butterfly. That is not a sacred spider. Dead spider. You're gone. That's not my great uncle. So in the UK, maybe you guys can explain to me, our British viewers over there, what has happened? Do you feel it in your everyday life? Freedom of speech was actually a sacred thing over there, from what I understand, because you guys could say or do anything that we didn't have laws against, but we just wouldn't air that stuff. We wouldn't do the stuff that you guys did. I mean, the perverseness was just off the charts when it comes to British humor.
Right. And
Katie Hopkins says, the truth on things, and she gets fired. She now has, in this interview, virtually no income. Okay? And she does what she does now because she feels like it's right.
Exactly.
And she has totally changed, in my opinion, from the making fun of fat people jokes that she did 3 years ago to finding things that are more important. She said that she would go on anybody's show who wanted to talk to her, even if they had like 10 followers. And I'm driving home like, Katie, when do you want to come on my show? I got a lot of people who might want, I'm like thinking of questions I want to ask you now. So, maybe that's a thing in the future. How do we get in contact with her? So anyways, there's that, and we're talking about persecution and censorship, which actually goes into our next big thing and our next big story. Speaking of censorship, Nigel Farage is this close from just boycotting the BBC.
Wow.
Nigel has refused to appear on the BBC again after being treated like a war criminal. The Brexit Party leader says the corporation is now begging him to appear on flagship politics shows And he compared his recent appearance on the Andrew Marr show in the run-up to the European elections like being an accused Nazi at the Nuremberg trials following the Second World War. Speaking to the Sun's Dan Wooten on Talk Radio's Friday Drive Time, Mr. Farage says, I appeared with Andrew Marr in the European elections when we were heading into the polls in the European elections, and I was treated like a war criminal. It was just extraordinary. You'd have thought I was at Nuremberg or for something awful I'd done. They're now begging me every week on email to reappear. So far, I keep telling them I'm washing my hair. I don't think we need the BBC as much as we used to. I think their behavior has been disgusting. They are utterly biased, but mercifully fewer people watch them or listen to them. May that trend continue. He praised The Sun for leading the way in its politics coverage and not ignoring parties like his. You're ahead of the rest of the newsrooms in what we used to call Fleet Street. You see it, you get it, because you're in touch with your people. So let me see if we can get this clip to play for us.
What are you going to do about the BBC during a potential election campaign? Because obviously, in my view, most of the shows there, most of the broadcasters there continue to treat you incredibly unfairly. They continue to treat you as if you are a fringe politician that needs to be attacked every time you're on air. Are you going to still appear on these programs?
It's a very good question. I appeared with Andrew Marr in the European elections when we were heading the polls in the European elections, and I was treated like a war criminal. It was just extraordinary. You'd have thought I was at Nuremberg, for something awful I'd done. They're now begging me every week on email to reappear. So far, I keep telling them I'm washing my hair. I don't think we need the BBC as much as we used to. I think their behaviour has been disgusting at every level. They are utterly biased. But mercifully, fewer and fewer people watch them or listen to them.
Always on the uptick, Nigel Farage's, even when being treated like a war criminal.
To combine Nigel with Tommy, just to let you guys know, if you don't get a chance to watch that interview with Ezra, that's why I'm talking about this. Ezra asked him about Boris and what he thought about the new government, and well, not really the new government, but the new prime minister. And Tommy is optimistic about Boris. He says that he likes him, and he actually is really, really hoping for a Nigel Boris coalition.
Says that today, Boris said that the candidates in Nigel's party aren't up to snuff.
Really?
He's a little posh snobby there.
Well, and what I like about
I've looked at your British your MPs. They don't all seem to be up to snuff.
Well, but what I like about this interview with Tommy is Tommy said yes, Nigel has thrown some people under the bus, obviously including himself. But the fact that he was supporting a coalition between Nigel and he's supporting what Nigel is doing and saying that Nigel is doing the right thing.
Everybody's getting in line. The good people are taking the big
I was really heartened by that. And I'm hoping
how hard it is to swallow humble pie?
Yeah, it almost
like
doesn't go
trying
down.
to get down a load of bricks. But when you do it take one for the team.
Yeah.
I think Tommy's had a lot to think about.
Right.
And
so he did, and I think that Tommy's actually taking the higher road here, and so let's just see how it plays out.
That could work out well for him, though.
Yeah,
in the future, taking the high road. If you take the high road,
because otherwise he's not creating these childish.
If Tommy takes the high road enough, he'll Nigel Farage will look over and say, "Oh my gosh, you're just walking next to me," and you can't ignore him then.
Yeah,
when you take the high road enough.
Yeah. Oh, you'll take the high road and I'll take the low road and we'll meet in Scotland Navary. For me and my true. So speaking of Scotland, so the Scottish government has now said, that
we are coming, we're living, you're right to just not to do Brexit.
I don't think that they quite understood what the Scots just said there.
Well, neither can I most of the time.
what you just said, but the Scottish government has tried to say that this prorogation of the government is illegal. And Tommy said in his interview with Ezra, he's like, now they're getting a good taste of what it's like when the government, when somebody has an unlawful, conviction of you or
yeah. But here's the funny thing, right? the Scottish government is saying that what the British government is doing is illegal, and they do not want to submit to the British High Government, even though they, from what I understand, they're under British government.
Right.
So their high court is in England. It
yes.
is in England, the country of England. We're separated here, and it's the country of England that has the upper say here. The Scottish people don't like that. But what they're saying is they would rather be subject to the European Council than to the British Council.
It's insanity.
And they're saying is that the England needs to be subject to the European Union, but Scotland won't be subject to England.
Rapaza says, Michelle, no one can understand the Scots, especially when they're drunk on scotch.
Or not. Yes, I certainly do. But
Go on then, let's try.
Do you still believe that worrying about global warming is the stupidest thing in human history?
I believe that...
So that was one of the stupid questions that they're talking about. Let's see, what do we got next? That was the big sit down with Ezra.
You can close it out if you're not going to bring it back up.
I will. Let me see. Speaking of Ireland, we're going to talk about Brexit, but we're over here in the UK.
You know what I need is I wish I had a nice world thing that we could kind of spin and show people where we were at.
You know what? That would be so fun. Yeah.
But I don't know where I'd put it.
Yeah. But I used to have a spinning globe. I love globes. I have an obsession with maps and globes. And I used to But
our house is really small for those things.
My
need
room,
a mansion.
I had the National Geographic world map in my room, and then when that one for years, and then when that one kind of started to get torn up, I got another one, and I always had a globe.
I forgot about that.
I'm obsessed with them.
You're a globetrotter that doesn't go
in
anywhere.
my mind. I know.
Yeah.
Anyways,
so we're going to Ireland.
A group of Irish feminists on their way to Belfast, Northern Ireland, to protest They're protesting the silent pro-life march that happened last week, I believe.
Those silent protesters.
Listen to the song lyrics here.
I don't know if I can.
The North of Ireland, we won't give up the fight until abortion is every person's right. We need abortion, safe, local, and free. We need abortion. We want to fight our right. We need abortion. We won't give up the fight until abortion is safe, legal, and free. We need abortion.
How do you sing something like that with a smile on your face? We won't give up our fight until abortion is safe, legal, and free, and they need abortion.
Okay, so, all right.
Here's
the problem that I have with this.
We need to kill babies. Yes, we're happy about killing babies. Every baby should be able to freely be killed in Ireland.
Wow.
That's what they're saying.
Yeah, I know. It's
we
really
want
terrifying.
to kill babies. We love to kill babies.
We're going to get taken off of YouTube for this.
That's what they say.
I know. It's awful. Okay, so here's the problem that I have with this, okay, is if we want to have a discussion about women that have become pregnant because they were raped, or women who are at a literal medical risk carrying their child to term.
Well, and then you should be saying we need abortion, okay, to abort something. Here's the thing. If your arm has gangrene and it's starting to produce sepsis into your body. Yeah. You never say, can't wait to amputate my arm. Exactly. I need to amputate my arm.
And that's the thing.
It's like, oh my gosh, of course you need to be able to amputate your arm. Of course, if there's a baby inside of you causing sepsis or a sickness, you have to be able to remove the baby, because if it's causing the life of the mother to be in danger, then those instances are so incredibly rare. They're almost non-existent.
I want to be very clear that we are against abortion in all cases, except for something like that. If you have an ectopic pregnancy, right, where the baby is growing in the fallopian tubes and the baby has to be, it has to happen.
I'm going to do some pictures. This is the pro-life march behind you.
Then I understand that. For medical reasons, if the child has to be, if it's killing the mother, like literally, I understand that. I actually do. But for rape, I don't agree with abortion. I don't agree with abortion at all, but I think that it's a little bit different when the woman's life is at risk.
Here's the thing.
Well, that's not the point I'm trying to make. I just want to get that aside before I actually make my point.
I want you to see, though, the large march, pro-life march here, that there are that Ireland is predominantly pro-life, and people, I know that they know that it passed.
Yeah.
The abortion bill passed, but
so
it still doesn't mean that.
The thing that bothers me about the video that we just watched with those women singing is the fact that there is no seriousness, because what she says is we won't stop until abortions are safe, legal, and free. Now, that last word is really, really important, okay? Because even if you have universal health care, even if you have universal health care, stating that you should be able to have sex freely, not use protection, not do anything whatsoever to be responsible, that you should just be able to do all of these things freely, okay, sleep around, get pregnant, and then kill that child and have the rest of society
That's a lot of people here.
pay to have that done, and you want to cheer about it. That's the part that I really want to hone in on the fact that that's what's so wrong about it. It's like we're not even talking about having safe, legal, and free abortions for something that might be justifiable. They're talking about for every woman who just wants to go get knocked up, as it were, to use a phrase that the world coins, to just go get knocked up whenever you want, to just have free sex,
elective abortion,
and just to be able to have free abortion, and just that's what we all should have. Every woman should be free to just sleep around with whoever she wants, get pregnant anytime she wants, and have that child killed.
We get what they're saying, but now there's these good people here.
Okay,
we were not asked, and they cannot speak. That's what their sign says here. Thousands are marching. Let's see the church militant here. 20,000. And this is for my Protestant viewers who are pro-life. You have to admit that it says tens of thousands of people took part of the March for Lives in Belfast city centre to protest the Westminster government's abortion law, which would force abortion up to 28 weeks in Northern Ireland. The march was the last major public event before Westminster's cruel and extreme law is set to be forced in Northern Ireland. Precious Life, who organized the march, said they were heartened and encouraged by the turnout, which showed that the pro-life majority of Northern Ireland are fighting back against this undemocratic law. The pro-life majority of Northern Ireland came out in their thousands today to say loud and clear, abortion not in our name. And what I want to say to my Protestant friends, or I don't even like to call people Protestant, non-Catholic Christians in general who do not identify as Catholic, it is by and large, the pro-life movement worldwide is led by Catholics. And that is where we have to recognize that the Protestant church is not very well organized in pro-life matters. Right. That there is I've always known this, that the Catholic Church, and maybe God allows the Catholic Church to stay stalwart. I do not agree with a lot of their traditions and teachings, and the fact that, over the years they've kind of evolved from we are the only way to we're the only way, but yeah, you can be Christians too, okay, and it's kind of like it's kind of a crazy world, but I wish we could come together on this a little bit stronger. I feel like non-Catholics don't feel it as much, which is kind of disappointing in a way, but
they used to. So if you go back and you watch, I want you guys to find this movie. Write this down. Go get a pen. What's it called, Leah?
What are you talking about?
Our anti-abortion movie that we share with people. The
Unplanned?
No. Way back when, the one that's got all the little kind of Baptist-looking women on it.
The pill. There's something in the pill.
Oh, great. So I just told you go get a pen. I can't remember. All right, so I'm going to try and find it and put it in the description. I want you to purchase this movie. It's a documentary. But what they do is they go back and they talk about the history of abortion through the church. But
they did say that the Protestants kind of gave up.
Exactly.
Real early on.
But before that, when you used to have the Council of Nice or whatever, not Nice. That's totally
There were
wrong.
other councils, other like Protestant church
where
councils.
they would get together and decide kind of what the rules and were going to be accepted.
Right.
And for 2,000 years,
the church was always pro-life.
Known every church, Protestant, Catholic, in between, whatever.
Right.
We were always pro-life, and it started
and
with
anti-contraception.
It started with contraception by allowing that, and I think some people take for granted that contraception has been legal forever, and it hasn't.
70s.
It was in the 70s, and it was actually only for married couples.
And
if you weren't married, you couldn't get a contraception pill.
And we didn't have overpopulation then in the 70s either.
Yeah.
So, all right, back to Nigel.
Proper Brexit. You know, we've got Labour Party, Liberal Democrats, many others doing their utmost to stop Brexit, using every technique they can to overturn the referendum of 3.5 years ago. A Conservative Party, new leader, Boris Johnson, who says he's going to deliver Brexit, but it seems now he wants to reheat Mrs May's deal that failed 3 times in Parliament and had very little support in the country. You know, and if we leave with a new European treaty that is Brexit in name only, that would be a complete sellout and betrayal. What we're saying is simple. We need to leave on the 31st of October with a clean break.
You talk about a clean break. In the run-up to the referendum, you talked a lot about Norway. You described them as rich, self-governing, happy. It's okay for you to change your mind on these things, but how can you be sure that Leave voters have also changed their mind?
No, I said Norway can catch their own fish. Under this withdrawal agreement.
You also said they were rich, happy and self-governing.
Yeah, and they were, absolutely, and in a far better place than we are.
So could we be with a Norway-style Brexit?
No, because this is not that. This is far worse than that. We are paying £39 billion to leave the European Union in name only, to still be governed by all their laws, to have no say over how those laws are made.
Would you accept a Norway-style Brexit now?
No, of course not. I said in the referendum, if you remember in the last couple of weeks, no deal is better than a bad deal, right? I want to leave with a good deal. What's being offered is a bad deal. Therefore, let's leave with a clean break Brexit. Let's go. I think we're all sick to death of this going on. All these shenanigans in Parliament, our country being reduced to a laughingstock on the world stage. Let's leave with a clean break. And you know what? We can then get on with the rest of our lives.
People might say you're a bit of a one-issue party. What else do you have to offer people of the North West?
This is the biggest defining issue in this country for hundreds of years. Are we to be? We have pioneered the idea of infrastructure spending over the north of England. We can cut the foreign aid budget by half, get rid of ludicrous projects like HS2, not give 39 billion to the European Union. We've argued to stop charging 6% interest on student loans. We've put lots of ideas on the table, and we'll do more of that as the next general election approaches. But getting our country free, not being governed from Brussels, that matters right now more than anything.
Somebody explain something to me.
Okay.
Speaking of the not charging 6%. Now, here is where I believe that conservative people and the left, you would think that they could come together in this common sense. This is common sense.
Yes.
So if the government is going to back student loans,
right,
why not make them interest-free? The government is backing these student loans, and they're put forth by banks.
Right.
Well, if the government backs these student loans by saying, well, if you default, then we will garnish people's wages, right?
Right.
Well, why doesn't the government just give everybody loans interest-free instead of free education? Because what happens is, you know why? Because there are lobbyists who are making billions of dollars off of these student loans. And when you have, like, in our country, Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders up there saying you want to have free college,
right,
they're just kicking the can to somebody else to get billions of dollars.
Yeah.
And nobody really actually wants to help people. And so with Nigel Farage, like, why don't we just, if we're giving away loans to people, why not just make them interest-free? Like,
that's a good question.
You know what I mean? Like, seriously. And it just boggles my mind that the left is, like, so stupid that you can't even come to, like, a libertarian mindset where, okay, we're giving away loans, let's make them interest-free. Like, no, well, we couldn't do that. We'd rather, you got to make college free instead. You know, it's like, that people, this is stupid.
I'm with you.
Okay, here's Nigel again. The Yellow Hammer Report is Project Fear Mark II. It should be utterly and totally disregarded.
Anyway,
Just put out...
just because the comments are on a leg. Britt says, Michelle, the student loan company in the UK is a private company, and it has to show a profit for its shareholders. Because that's what I was thinking too, as you were saying that. Like, so they do have to kind of show a profit.
Then you're a socialist country. Just give out loans. You're socialist, interest free.
What it describes as its reasonable worst case assumptions. Food's running out, medicine's running out, chaos for British people living on the continent. Why on earth would anybody vote for that?
I've never seen such utter tosh in my entire life. Unlike these civil servants sitting in Whitehall, I spent 20 years in international trade, buying and selling goods and shipping them all over the world. And the idea, given there are over 100 ports, active ports, in the United Kingdom, that even if there was a problem at Dover, there'd be food shortages, is complete and utter rubbish. It's Project Fear, Mark II. It should be utterly, completely, totally disregarded.
Yellow hammer.
Well said.
Yellow hammer. Okay, let's see. We're going to talk about, for a while there, we were hearing all these positive things about
So, okay, I like what Jim West says here, because I was thinking the exact same thing. He says, student loans are paid at the rate of inflation. The 6% is above it. Because I'm like, okay, so inflation is real, because we know that the governments just print money. And so there has to be some sort of, you would think,
Does it matter? No, but it doesn't matter. Because
what you're saying is you're
trying to loan for a 5-year car. You know what I mean? You can have a zero interest loan. The college shouldn't be more than 5 years, and in 5 years the inflation shouldn't go up 6% anyways.
Okay, but that goes to the reason why the automotive thing it can be 0% is because you're purchasing a product, and with the actual colleges and universities don't own these loans. Okay, so they sell them out, and so they want their money first, and then the company that has bought it has to make a profit. So what you're trying to say is, rather than give away free college, at the very least, if somebody wanted to come together with something, they could say, let's do interest-free loans, and of course that's going to come out of the pocket of the people. Okay, well, so it's not really a libertarian view.
But a libertarian view is get rid of interest. You should have you shouldn't have interest. There's a lot of companies out there who would actually do student loans. That refinancing them in our country makes it very impossible. But here's the thing:
why not compel the colleges to finance these students on loans without interest? Like, here's the product, and you're allowed to make payments on it.
Yeah, exactly.
The product is your education.
Exactly. So back to
but that's also still not very libertarian, but I get it.
Well, it would be for a college to do it. A college to say,
compel a college to do something like that isn't libertarian.
I wouldn't compel. I would just encourage it.
Okay, encourage it. Right.
Okay, here's the thing. I wouldn't have government-backed student loans.
Right.
I wouldn't have a government-backed student loan. Right. That's retarded. That's so stupid. And the colleges wouldn't be enrolling so many people,
right?
That people couldn't pay it back.
Right.
The government shouldn't back any sort of loan.
Yes.
Okay, Remain Media. When I look at education, having an interest rate on any sort of loan for education, in my opinion, is usury. It's wrong. You're going to be paying it back. That's it. You borrowed money, you pay it back. That's it. You don't need interest on a loan. That's stupid. Your college shouldn't be up until you're paying off college until you're 40. Okay, and I just forget inflation. You just pay it back.
But that would be so. I like hear what who was it? Sorry, the comments go so fast. Alan says, I like Tucker's take on student loans. Make the colleges co-sign them. If they give a poor education where the student can't get a job and pay back the loan, make the college pay it back.
There's that, or the colleges just give out loans. You come to our school, and then you pay us back for it, because that's just the way it is.
Whoa. Wow.
All right, Remain Media quiet as court rules no deal Brexit does not breach the Irish peace deal. The High Court of Northern Ireland has ruled that a no deal Brexit would not breach the Good Friday Agreement, which supports the peace process in the British province. Northern Ireland, known colloquially as Ulster, was for decades racked with violence perpetrated by terrorists claiming to be fighting on behalf of the minority of the population, which supports leaving the United Kingdom and uniting with the Republic of Ireland. But the campaigners sought to block a no-deal Brexit, and they went to court, claiming the possible introduction of a customs border between Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland would break the terms of the Belfast Agreement. But Lord Justice Bernard McCloskey has ruled that that is not the case. So that's out. That's out of there.
So that has to do with the Irish backstop.
Yes.
And so I think that from what I've gathered from most sound-minded people in the United Kingdom, they've pretty much said that it's the backstop is kind of a non-issue. Okay. It wouldn't really change anything whether you're part of the European Union or not. This border is really a non-issue, and they're kind of just blowing it out of proportion.
Yeah. Talking about that's a really good lead up. Thank you for that. Blowing out of proportion. Here's another commercial break where I call these commercial breaks with the random stories out of the blue. Blue water, blue eyes. Arctic global warming mission was scuppered by mysterious hard white substance called ice. Yet another greenie expedition to the Arctic to raise awareness for global warming has been scuppered by unexpected large quantities of ice. This brings a total of 6 to the number of shipfuls expeditions where weather reality has made a mockery of climate theory. Arctic tour ships MS Malmo with 16 passengers on board got stuck in ice on September 3rd off of Longyearbyen, Svalbard archipelago, halfway between Norway and the North Pole. The ship is on an Arctic tour with climate change documentary film team and tourists concerned with climate change. I love that these tourists are concerned with climate change, yet they are burning fossil fuels to go get a good look at it. And the melting Arctic ice, all 16 climate change warriors were evacuated by helicopter with more fossil fuels. In challenging conditions, all are safe. 7 crew remain on board. A reporter, clearly with a sense of humor, he adds, "Something is very wrong with Arctic ice. Instead of melting as ordered by the UN IPCC, it captured the ship with climate change warriors." It appears the mainstream media has failed to get the memo. Here is the tweet from Reuters, which appeared after the ship got stuck in ice.
Oh my gosh. It's embarrassing.
It says the town of Longyearbyen, Norway, is the northernmost, the fastest warming town in the world, where glaciers melt, coffins rise from the permafrost, and avalanches sweep away houses. And yet they got stuck in the ice. Here's another hysterical story about Longyearbyen, written by The Guardian earlier in the year, with a correction that puts nonsense in context. Longyearbyen, 1908. Sorry, that page doesn't exist. They took it down. No snow. No snow. No snow in 1908 there. So here's a list of these ship of fools. Australian climate researcher Chris Turkey and a crew of climate alarmists on a mission to demonstrate just how much Antarctic ice has been affected by global warming get stuck in unexpected thick ice and have to be rescued by a helicopter.
Oops.
Arctic expedition led by veteran explorer David Hempleman Adams to raise awareness of permanent irreversible change in the sea ice landscape of the Arctic caused by global warming is ruined by unexpected large quantities of ice. They really didn't expect that. Global warming research study in Canada canceled because of ice. It became very clear to me very quickly that these weren't just heavy ice conditions. These were unprecedented ice conditions.
Ripod says, Michelle, in the Arctic, the sea is actually getting thicker and covering a larger area each winter, according to independent scientific sources.
Claims the lead scientist, blaming it on climate change, fully in action, and calling it a wake-up call for all of us in this country. Arctic mission sailing expedition to the North Pole to raise awareness of global warming has to turn back after yachts find their passage blocked by large quantities of unexpected frozen white substance. Scientists, students, filmmakers from the University of Rhode Island's Inner Space Center on a mission to document climate change effects in the Canadian Arctic archipelago have to be rescued after the ship is damaged after grounding on unexpected hard bluey-white substance floating in the sea.
Oh my gosh. So, okay, we went to Glacier.
Yeah.
In 2017.
Mm-hmm.
Was it 2017?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. So we went to Glacier, and we learned that every winter the glaciers freeze and they kind of build up, and then sometime in the summer, not even in the spring, they start to melt. And they melt throughout the summer, and then winter happens and they like freeze again. Okay. So let's just say that we look at history, like the last 200 or 300 years, on kind of a year-long scale, right? Where the weather goes kind of up and down and up and maybe down, stays down, then goes back up. And so you have these periods where you have kind of a big freeze and then a melt and then a freeze and then a melt. And you could take that to another extreme. Let's say you look at it like 1,000-year, linear history of the weather. The fact that these people that believe in global warming refuse to look at that, because if you were to show up in probably August of glacier and you were to see all of these glaciers melting, you might go, oh my gosh, global warming. I came to Glacier because there's glaciers, and now they're telling me that the glaciers in Glacier are melting right now. They're literally dripping. They're not as big as they were earlier this year. Global warming is real. And not taking into consideration that they were just frozen and they're going to freeze again, because it's a pattern. They refuse to look at large historical patterns for these things. And I'm sitting here scratching my head like, are you not a scientist? Because science is supposed to look at patterns.
Here's the thing. All you need to do is tell. Here's the thing. What the climate alarmists do is take attention away from things that are incredibly important in life. Like, I think actually I would rather go woke Pope. Plastic is banned in the Vatican to save the environment. Here he is wearing a plastic rain suit. Pope Francis has banned plastic in the Vatican city-state to stand in solidarity with environmentalists. He made the announcement from aboard the papal plane, because that's not going to use burning fossil fuels with their private jet flying all over the world. But it's okay, he's the Pope, and God told him to.
Right.
He made the announcement from aboard the papal plane during a long-haul flight back from his recent trip to Africa, because he is allowed to fly all over the world, because he's basically the embodiment of Jesus Christ, and since Jesus Christ would fly there, then he will too. The Pope said that he had been disturbed by a conversation a couple months ago with sea chaplains and fishermen who recounted how they had gathered 6 tons of plastic from the ocean over the course of a few months. In the Vatican, we have banned plastic. We are working on that. The Pope went on to explain that his prayer intention for September is for the protection of the oceans that give us the oxygen we breathe. We need to defend the ecology and biodiversity, which is our life, and defend oxygen, which is our life. I am comforted by the fact that it is young people who are waging this war. They have a great conscience and are saying the future is ours. Do what you want with yours, but not with ours. The Pope said that he had been anguished when he saw a photo of a ship sailing all the way to the North Pole undisturbed by ice. And we just talked about the fact that there's ice everywhere right now. Not long ago, we all saw the photograph of symbolic funeral of for an extinct glacier in Greenland, he said. In recent months, the Pope has been adopting stronger rhetoric to describe what he sees as a climate emergency around the globe. In a September message for the World Day of Prayer for the Care of the Creation, the Pope employed the
where is the word?
Apoplectic. Say it.
I always just say apoplectic.
There's no extra P there.
Right.
Why would you say apoplectic?
Apocalyptic. Apocalyptic. There's 2 different words. Apoplectic means to be really upset and in fits about something.
Yeah.
So, apocalyptic.
Thank you. I don't know why I can't say that word.
Easy for you to say.
It's going to be the end of the world. Encouraged by climate alarmists to frighten people into taking actions, human beings have caused a climate emergency that gravely threatens nature and life itself. Urging drastic measures. Too many of us act like tyrants with regard to creation, he declared. Let us make an effort to change and to adopt more simple and respectful lifestyles. Because simple is getting in your private airplane and jet setting all over the world. Popey man. You could just sit in your little Pope place and, send some little wires over the internet.
Yeah.
Now is the time to abandon our dependence on fossil fuels, even though you are using them and flying all over the world. God says something about hypocrites. And move quickly and decisively towards forms of clean energy. How are you going to play? There is not one idea out there for airplane travel that's clean. They don't even have nuclear
I want to take
energy
this time
for planes.
to very briefly say, I have a problem with all of these people, like the kids that we talked to after the Trump rally.
Yeah.
That have no idea how we got here, and that they are actually the mindset of greed. I want what I want, and I want it now.
Mm-hmm.
Is what has created this problem. So as we're talking about this, Leah, are you a fan of plastic grocery bags?
No.
Are you a fan of plastic straws?
No.
Are you a fan of the little things that the penguins get trapped in from the Coca-Cola cans?
Do they even sell those anymore?
Well, we just had a thing of it.
You're right, they do, yeah.
Okay, so no, we are not a fan. We are not a fan of plastic at all. If I could ban plastic, I would. If I could make it so that no one ever could use a plastic thing forever, I would. But that also means that you need to go back to a slower paced society. The demand for plastics, okay, has gone hand in hand with the I want all of this modern technology. These kids want their cell phones. I mean, I'm thinking to myself, okay, you banned plastic, Pope Francis. Do you have a cell phone? Because I guarantee that your cell phone is not 100% non-plastic. Okay? It's impossible for us as a society to ban plastics. So what we need to talk about are alternatives and getting back to a way of life that doesn't require us to have these plastics.
Listen to what he says. Now is the time to abandon our dependence on fossil fuels and move quickly and decisively towards forms of energy, clean energy, and sustainable and a circular economy. Let us also learn to listen to indigenous peoples whose age-old wisdom can teach us how to live in a better relationship with the environment. Now, when we're talking about hypocrisy, you need to know. Hang on, I'm going to find it. That this Pope, if you open up the dictionary, he says the right things to appease people, but by his lifestyle and his actions, just by banning plastic, you can't ban something like they've done in San Francisco and ban plastic bags, and now you have hepatitis B and all kinds of horrible things because homeless people used to pick up their own poop with those plastic bags,
right?
And now the poop just stays on the ground because they don't have these free plastic bags floating all over the place,
right?
So if you do every action has an equal and opposite reaction, and if people have become dependent, as we have, on picking up poop with plastic bags, and then you want to tell people to pick up...
Because we're dog walkers, not because we defecate in the street.
Thanks for making that clear.
Welcome.
You know, everybody uses these plastic bags.
But Leah, okay, so we shouldn't have a society really where you have to pick up your dog's poo like that. I mean, you should have a farm where you got a scoop and you can put it in a pile. So there is that. But what I'm saying is this is entire lifestyle. So the left have created these homeless people in California, okay, from this welfare system. And then the left wants to now come and say, all of these things that you're doing is wrong when they are the very ones. It wasn't the capitalistic society, actually. It was the greedy society, the welfare society.
Speaking of greedy, listen, look at this. Look at this.
Lamborghini.
Pope Francis meets and praises Lamborghini president. He signs a Lamborghini because that's what Jesus would do.
He's got to stay relevant. Leah.
Pope Francis met Friday with Stefano Domenicali, president and CEO of the Lamborghini company, saying his generosity resembles that described by Jesus in the gospel.
No way.
Jesus would tell you to go sell all you have and give it to the poor.
Is he giving Lamborghinis away?
Papal spokesman Matteo Bruni issued a brief communique noting that the Pope had met with the Lamborghini executive, as well as a delegation from the Omes Foundation, which oversaw the auction of a special edition Lamborghini donated to Francis. They did donate to Francis a Lamborghini in 2017.
So he's thanking them for their generosity for buying him off.
The luxury sports car.
What does the Pope need with a Lamborghini?
Sending this to our dear friend.
What does the Pope need?
Do I want to offend someone that badly?
A Lamborghini.
The luxury sports car in papal white and gold, blessed and autographed by the Pope, fetched $1 million at a 2018 Sotheby's auction in Monaco. And the buyer, a citizen of the Czech Republic, was also present to greet the Pope. Because you can greet the Pope for $1 million, baby. Pope Francis cited chapter 25. St. Matthew's Gospel. This is not the Babylon Bee. This is not the Onion. This is Breitbart, and I'm here to bring you the real news today and forever. Saying that the Lamborghini company's generosity corresponds to Jesus' description of charity in the biblical passage. This is really hard for me to get out my mouth. During the meeting, the delegation presented the Pope with a symbolic check for the amount of $1 million. The last 200,000 euros from the sale of a sports car will be used for the rebuilding of a seminary and a preschool in Haiti that were destroyed by an earthquake in 2010. The monies that were already distributed to charity include 300,000 euros to the Pope John the 23rd community, which helps women who are victims of trafficking and prostitution, and 200 euros to the aid to the church in need for a reconstruction project in the Nineveh Plains of Iraq, and 160,000 euros to the two Italian associations working in Africa. Now, I am very happy that I'm very happy about the things that the Catholic Church does. However, sometimes your good works do not outweigh, and you can't just say, hey, what you're doing is good over there, and then kind of gloss over the hypocrisy of the Pope signing and auctioning off a Lamborghini for $1 million, and then meeting the person who bought this Lamborghini and now driving it around, the Pope's Lamborghini. You know what I mean? So, right. When you're dealing with this kind of stuff, when you're dealing with this kind of money, it's called selling your soul, and it's called indulgences. And Jesus would say, why would you not just donate your $1 million instead of buying the Lamborghini?
Right. Well, because you got to get something for what you give.
So, when it comes to climate change, okay, when anybody asks you about climate change and global warming, you say this. Have you ever heard of a saber-toothed tiger and a woolly mammoth? Have you ever heard of them?
Yes.
We had this thing. It was called
the Ice Age.
The Ice Age.
The Age of Ice.
And what is incredible about this Ice Age is
we're still cooling from it.
But it was so quick that it formed these animals in ice.
Yeah.
Okay? So
we are literally still cooling from the Ice Age, though. That's scientific.
We're still kind of warming.
Warming, I meant.
From that Ice Age.
That's what I meant. Have you ever, so just the other day we had a gathering, and I bought a big thing of ice, and I put it in a cooler. Okay? And for like 3 days after that, 3 or 4 days, you could still go out and grab a drink from it, and it would still be like cool and cold, but eventually it did all melt. So when you have it takes a long time for things to warm from a big freeze like that.
All right, so in Hong Kong, they are singing God Save the Queen. They're asking for help. Will help come? Let me see where we got. We're going to go to Italy, too, today, guys.
Tom said that was a Joe Biden gaffe. I'm sorry. Yeah, it was. But you knew what I meant. Everybody knew.
Pro-democracy protesters rallied outside of Britain's consulate in Hong Kong on Sunday, demanding London do more to protect its former colonial subjects and ramp up pressure on Beijing over sliding freedoms. Hundreds of demonstrators saying God Save the Queen and Rule Britannia outside of the consulate, waving the Union Jack as well as Hong Kong's colonial-era flags. I gotta get a video of this so you can see what I'm talking about. What do you think, guys? Should God save the Queen, and should the Queen save Hong Kong?
Yes. I'm going to answer that. I'm going to offer up my opinion here. Absolutely. This is really heartening to me. Because these Hong Kong people are actually appealing to the populist movements in the United Kingdom and the United States and anybody around the world that's pretty much conservative, because they are the ones that actually have the heart to get it done, to help them.
Yeah, here we go. Let me get a video. You need to see. I don't know. Sometimes it might just be a whitelist us.
In the Sino-British Joint Declaration, it was promised that Hong Kong people would enjoy basic human rights and such protection. For example, freedoms of speech, freedom of assembly and protest. And we were also promised with universal suffrage, which is one important implementation of democracy. But we are seeing more and more occurrences of such violation in Hong Kong. Since British government is one of the signatory of the declaration, we believe that the UK government has the legal rights and moral obligation to protect Hong Kong people.
But they're so right, though. They are 100% right that the UK has the legal right and moral obligation to do it. Now, does the UK want to take on China?
No. The protest came as another large rally made its way through the city streets on Sunday afternoon in defiance of a ban by police who warned the gathering was illegal. The once stable international hub has been convulsed by weeks of huge, sometimes violent rallies calling for greater democratic freedoms and police accountability. The movement is the biggest challenge to China's rule since the city was handed back to Britain in 1997 and shows no sign of ending, with local leaders in Beijing taking a hard line. Under a deal signed with Britain ahead of the city's 1997 handover to China, Hong Kong is allowed to keep its unique freedoms for 50 years. Democracy activists accuse Beijing of reneging on its promises by tightening political control over the semi-autonomous territory and refusing calls for universal suffrage because they would be voted out. Many of the protest signs accuse Britain of not doing enough to confront Beijing over its tightening grip on the semi-autonomous Chinese city. Sino-British Joint Declaration is void, one read. So far, I'm quite disappointed by the fact that the UK hasn't done anything to support us. Many called for Hong Kongers who want to leave the city to be granted citizenship in Britain or other Commonwealth nations. Some Hong Kongers were given British national overseas passports before the handover, a document that allows holders to easily travel to the UK but grants no working or residency rights. At least with full citizenship, they can protect Hong Kong people from the Chinese government. Earlier this week, 130,000 UK lawmakers signed a joint letter calling for Britain and the Commonwealth countries to come up with an insurance policy for Hong Kongers to resettle overseas should they wish to. Hong Kong has been battered by nearly 100 days of protests sparked by the now abandoned plan to extradite citizens to the mainland. This pro-democracy movement has gained traction. And all eyes and my eyes are on China and on Hong Kong. Here you have, that's not the one. We're going to go to that in a second. Let's see.
So what I'm thinking of is, all of these quote-unquote refugees that have
riot police here
gone into the UK, right? They are opening up their arms for all sorts of quote-unquote refugees from around the world, mostly from the Middle East. Yeah. And yet, when we see real people that need help, and these people that were already part of your umbrella system,
these people were already part of a UK government.
I think you owe it to them.
They're already your cousins.
They should come first.
So these are mostly young people who are fighting for they're doing their best to fight against communism. So what can you do? I don't know. I don't know how effective some of these things are. Little tiny fire there. So Hong Kong is a powder keg right now, and I'm picking a side, and I'm picking the Hong Kongers.
Me too.
Because I know the brutal fascist regime, just because there's law and order in China, doesn't make them right. Their law and order is, if you go against us, we put you in jail and we take out your organs and we sell them. So that's not really law and order. That's a totalitarian dictatorship. And we already fund people who try to overthrow dictatorships in Iran, in Syria, and Venezuela.
Very true.
But we're not going after China because China could destroy us.
Well,
and that would be a full-blown war. Venezuela has no power.
Let's highlight the fact that Trump, in his way, is going after China.
In his way.
Through tariffs, and is standing up to China.
Right.
And I think that he's just going to keep, I hope and I pray that he's going to keep taking a harder and harder stance. And it's almost like a gradual stalwart position against China where you stand up and you do the tariffs and then you can take a next step into the human rights violations and so on and so forth.
Are you ready for your commercial break?
We are ready for a commercial break.
So Britt Baza sent this to me.
Oh my gosh.
Gold toilet stolen in Blenheim Palace burglary.
So I've heard of being born with a silver spoon in your mouth to indicate being wealthy, but not being born with a golden toilet.
It's operational.
It is operational.
An 18-karat solid gold toilet has been stolen in a burglary overnight at Blenheim Palace. Now, that's... I mean, seriously, you just take the toilet, melt it down, nobody knows. But you clean it good. The gang broke into the Oxfordshire Palace about 4:50 and stole the artwork on the working toilet entitled America, which visitors had been invited to use.
No way. See, this doesn't seem nice.
I'm glad they stole it. Has not been found, but a 66-year-old man has been arrested. The burglary caused significant damage and flooding because the toilet was plumbed into the building. It was part of an expedition by Italian conceptual artists. However, the 18th century stately home in the world is a World Heritage Site and a birthplace of Sir Winston Churchill. It is currently closed while investigations continue. Speaking last month, Edward Spencer Churchill, half-brother of the current Duke of Marlborough, has said that he was relaxed about security for the artwork. It's not going to be the easiest thing to nick, he said. Well, they nicked it. Visitors to the exhibition were free to use the palace's throne for its intended purpose with a 3-minute time limit to avoid queues. The piece of art has been stolen in high-value toilet made out of gold. So you should not have a gold toilet. The gold toilet was famously offered to U.S. President Trump in 2017. So,
here's my question. I want to know if gold, and I already know the answer.
The world order of tomorrow is not a world.
I'm Googling right now. I want to know the difference between porcelain and weight and gold.
You want to know the value of...
Not value. No. Which I can't... I'm literally not finding this quickly. My point is, carrying away a porcelain toilet or any kind of ceramic toilet or whatever is already really heavy. I have a sneaking suspicion that gold is even heavier, and I would like to applaud the person that was able to get this thing out of there because gold is so heavy. Mm-hmm. You know, it's way more dense than, say, porcelain or ceramic or whatever your modern toilets are going to be made out of.
So Guy Verhofstadt came over to the UK, anti-Brexit campaign.
So I actually have that video if you want me to play it here.
Sure. And then in this video, he calls for the European empire.
Is it Guy or Guy?
I think you can say either.
The world order of tomorrow is not a world order based on nation states or countries. It's a world order that is based on empires. China is not a nation. It's a civilization, Han. India, you know it better than I do, is not a nation. There are 2,000 nations in India. There are 20 different languages that are used there. There are 4 big religions at the same time. It is the biggest democracy worldwide. The US is also an empire, more than a nation. Maybe tomorrow they will speak there more Spanish than English. I don't know what will happen. And then finally the Russian Federation. The world of tomorrow is a world of empires in which we European and you British can only defend your interest, your way of life by doing it together in a European framework and in the European Union.
That doesn't sound like a dictator, does it?
No, not at all.
European Empire. That's the only way we can do it. Me, will rule the world.
Oh my gosh. What he was saying, though, sounds so right. Because what he's saying is there are other empires, which I'm not really thinking of any right now. But that there are, maybe he's trying to say that the United States is an empire. I don't know. But he's trying to say the world is the world of empires. And the only way that we can stay competitive and we can defend ourselves against these empires is to be an empire together, which in theory, I guess kind of sounds good, but I'm just trying to think of these other empires that are attacking these other little nations.
Exactly. Here's the thing. His plea to empirical rule is the basis of all built empires, the Roman Empire.
We're too small to do it on our own, but what happens with every empire is they spread like a virus and they try to take over more territory.
The idea is that you need more and more to gain and have control.
An empire is never satisfied.
He is a dictator.
Yes.
And the EU is an evil dictator. They are literally Hitler.
I do have an issue with Guy or Guy Verhofstadt, and that is his hair. Like, I just don't like it.
I can't stand looking at him. All right, so here we have another commercial break on the Independence Day March in Poland.
Wait a minute, Tom says, I would just grab that gold toilet and run. If stopped and asked what I was doing, I would just say maintenance.
I thought that was really great. That's good. That's good. Here we have the Polish government standing up, being awesome, and Antifa tried to break up the Independence Day March here, and the Polish police are having nothing of it.
Wow. I don't even know if they can see. I hope you guys can see that. Let me check. Yeah, they can.
This is how you deal with Antifa. Speaking of the Polish government now, please tell me, I couldn't find this tweet that I'm pretty sure I tweeted out. I know. I know I tweeted this out, but where did it go? Oh, I'm so frustrated. Did I not tweet it? Did I not actually tweet it? You had the...
So Britt says, Guy Verhofstadt is German, and Germany tried to get an empire twice in the 20th century and lost, yet they are the lead nation in the EU, so work that out.
Where can I...
I could not agree.
Oh, I know who shared it. This was good. Okay. You've probably been sharing a lot lately.
I didn't share anything.
No. Based Poland.
Oh. So what says he's not German? Mikey B says he's Belgian. Stuart the Brit says he's not German. Thank you for correcting.
Well, we'll just play this real quick while I'm looking for it. Tonight, hundreds of thousands of Poles, I guess it was yesterday, Poles in 800 cities across Poland and the world took part in one of the largest religious events in recent history.
Długie miesiące spędzone w szpitalu, wiele operacji, stałem pod krzyż.
Not English.
No, but you can see
Zuzia urodziła się 12 lat temu. To był 25. tydzień ciąży. Była wielkości mojej dłoni. Męskiej. Ten krzyż jest coraz cięższy. Pojawiają się nowe diagnozy. Zuzia nigdy nie będzie chodzić, nie będzie mówić, nie będzie widzieć. Nie będzie samodzielnie.
And that's pretty awesome.
That just happened?
Yeah.
Because those people are like dressed for winter.
Well, maybe it's cold
like
there.
cold in Poland right now.
It could be very cold in Poland. Base Poland has been sharing a lot. There's a really good little video. Where are you? I know you just shared this. It was a great little clip here of one of their Polish leaders talking and saying, when was this? I'm not going to find it. It was Base Poland. They shared it and now I can't find it. But he said, basically, do you have freedom of press in Poland? Maybe you guys can find this clip. There's a Polish leader. I don't know which one it is. Sorry. It was a Polish leader, and he said, do you have freedom of press in Poland? And he said, well, if one of our women is raped, they will report about it, and talking tongue-in-cheek towards the European Union, who does not, will not. And it was a really good hit back, and I can't believe that it's not. Yeah, it's not here. It might have even been that guy. No, I don't know. But we're gonna play this. This in English. It was a breath of fresh air for me to move from Sweden to Poland. In Poland, it's possible for conservative politicians to speak without being silenced by the code of political correctness. But when they get interviewed by international mainstream media, the hosts are shocked. Let's see if this is in English.
How many Poles blow themselves up in America or any other place in the world? How many? 0. I love my 0. Not even one Polish blowed himself up because of his religion, because of his fantasy, because of his hatred, because of his religion. None. So that is the difference between Europeans, between Polish.
Don't the politicians of Europe have a moral humanitarian duty to step in?
No. Some of them, they can't afford to come with the private planes.
How many refugees has Poland taken?
0.
And you're proud of that?
If you are asking me, if you're asking me about Muslims illegal immigration, none, not even one will come to Poland. Not.
Do you understand why the EU is concerned?
Well, basically because they cannot kiss us in our forehead like Mr. Juncker used to kiss Donald Tusk. They cannot clap us on the shoulder and saying you're good. Very important keywords. Majority of Polish society is Catholic. Majority. Majority, which means democracy. That's a very important word. So majority was elected and majority is making decisions. Poland is a very Catholic country. This is Catholic society who is electing us. Thank God we are not Muslim country. You as a France becoming a Muslim society. Germany becoming a Muslim society. We are Christians. We are proud Polish Catholics. And we are first time in history as a government elected in a huge number which doesn't need any coalition.
Mr. Tashinsky, I have to stop you and I have to say that France has
democracy.
a Muslim...
Now, what's funny is this, his name is Dominique or something, and about a year ago, he found us on Resistance Chicks, and he messaged me that particular...
He messages you back and forth frequently.
Yeah, and so I love that he... Like, we're famous in Poland, just FYI. We need to put Poland more in the title because
I will add Polish it to the description. Well,
love
to the
us,
tags anyway.
And we love them so very much. So very much. So I guess the Polish Independence Day March is less than 2 months away. So I guess maybe people are sharing videos. I don't know. I'm not sure. But anyways, there's my Poland segment for the day. And I really wanted to find that clip. But all right. So exclusive video. Legacy of torture and murder. Zimbabweans dance to celebrate the death of a tyrant.
His legacy and got no legacy. What other people see as a legacy, I see brutality, because I know it from first hand. I suffered from him in the 80s. My father was murdered by his regime in 1983, and then I ended up having a fatherless adolescence. I didn't go to school because of him.
Under the Mugabe regime, my family suffered a lot. I grew up not knowing where my father was because he was hunted by the Mugabe regime. They wanted to kill him. Unfortunately, he managed to escape. I don't know where he went to hide for years and years. So it was just me and my mom. They killed my mom's brother. They killed my dad's brother and his son, my aunties, my nephews. I lost a lot of my family members through the butchering of the Ndebele during the Kukuraundi era.
Well, Mugabe should just go. And we are now fighting to destroy his legacy that he left with the ZANU-PF. Because the system is continuing even more. So we just want him to go and let him take his legacy with him. The legacy of torture, the legacy of intimidation, the legacy of killing people and abductions.
I was abducted in 2002 during the presidential elections, March 2002, and kept in a torture camp. For 23 days I was in there, and on the day that I was supposed to be killed, after Mugabe had given orders that I'd be killed, that's when my rescue came. Once I was rescued, there was a nationwide manhunt for me, and my union had to organize for me to secretly leave the country. So I'm here now.
I was tortured in 2001 by his army at Warren Park Police Station for being. I was at a demonstration at Warren Park where Gibson, the vice president at the time, Gibson Svanda, was to come and speak. They came and dispersed everybody with police dogs and batons, beat everybody up. I was locked up for 6 hours at the police station, hanged up on one leg on the roof, put inside a drum, beat up to death, you know what I mean? So I didn't even know whether the nightmare didn't seem to be ending. I didn't know whether I was going to survive it or not.
They dug a hole, they put me in there to neck level, and I was meant to spend the night in that hole with just the head popping out. And then, of course, this is a mountainous area where there are hyenas and jackals around, and so it was scary. I was bitten left, right, and tertia, injured, and all such, and broke a bone, my leg, and stuff like that happened.
There is no human rights. If you want to speak, there's no freedom of speech. So how can country run like that?
Robert Mugabe passed on, and some people are rejoicing he's dead. With me, it's sad. It's a sad day today, actually, because I wanted him to live so that he will face his criminal activities, especially on us, we the Ndebeles. During the 1982 up to 1986, 87, he sent the 5th Brigade. He said, go there and kill them. So we are very saddened about his death. We didn't want him to die yet.
At some point, like 2008, the lifespan of Zimbabweans was 34. So most of my family passed away. I'm the only one left. Probably lucky because I'm here. If I was back then, I would probably be dead by now as well. My friends died at 32, 28.
I can't say anything, but I'm glad he's gone. He was a monster, very evil. Unfortunately, he's left behind an evil legacy which is continuing.
There's no money, there's no employment, there's no electricity, there's no water. Everything has just collapsed. I do blame Mugabe for that because he's the one who driven away all the white farmers out of the country. If it wasn't for him, we wouldn't be in a better state by now.
Most of the white farmers, they were born in Zimbabwe. They're Zimbabweans by right. They took all of that from them and kicked them out of the country. Most of them were killed. Some of them were killed. It was terrible. He could have asked the white people that were there because they are good with farming, agriculture, put it that way. They are good in it. So instead of asking them to teach or help other black people to create farms, there's plenty of land for everybody in Zimbabwe. You didn't have to take farms from them.
It was also because of Mugabe and his system that I left Zimbabwe. Imagine a mother like me, a widow, leaving kids in the hands of anybody. No one knows where they sleep, what they eat. just here all day, sleeping, crying. I just can't help it. If all was well, I wouldn't have left. Imagine leaving children. Now I am 4 years now, I haven't seen my kids. And I cry day in, day out. It's just unbearable.
So, wow. After the news of the death of tyrant Robert Mugabe broke Friday, survivors of his rule gathered outside the Zimbabwean embassy in London to dance and sing to celebrate his passing and to call for his legacy of murder and economic collapse to be destroyed. Survivors of the 1980s Guguruhundi genocide of the Ndebele people, who were murdered in massive numbers by the Zimbabwean government after it achieved independence from the white rule through a bloody insurrection, gathered in London over the weekend. And I hate, it's racist to say that it was white rule. Okay, you could say it's British, but Britain is made up of blacks and whites and Hindus and Indians, real Indians from India, made up of many people.
Right.
Okay, it wasn't the collapse of white rule, okay? It was the collapse of the British Empire. And in doing so, I understand what Nigel Farage said was, hey, we did some good things. And what that man said is, it boggles my mind. Zimbabwe is a very large country. And and they were white people who were born there and who went there to farm, okay? And what's the difference between white people going to Zimbabwe to do land and to farm, then and it just so happens that what they're saying is that because you're white, then you are evil like the British Empire. You know what I mean?
Well, no, I think what you're saying is we've got all these people trying to flood to the UK and other Western countries for quote-unquote economic reasons, not even for refugee status, just for economic reasons. They want to make a better life for themselves in another country. And so these white people went to Zimbabwe to make a better life for themselves and to try to farm. And somehow that's wrong and they should leave. You know, so you can't really have it both ways.
Yeah, but here's the thing. I always said there's so much land there. If you wanted to farm, then why not the government just use unpurchased land or fallow land, and like he said, ask the white farmers to teach other people their great techniques. And if the government wants to be semi-socialist and to set up programs to help the black people to farm as well instead of destroy. This is what communism does, and this is what the socialist AOC here in our country want to do. They can only look and see what other people have done and take it and disperse it. They do not come up with things in their own mind, and then they destroy. They are like a virus that goes in and they start to eat your good cells. That's what communism does. That's what they're doing right now in South Africa. Is South Africa better today under your kill the Boer rule? South Africa is not better. It's not safer. It's not more wealthy. It's not more prosperous, okay? And rather than say white people came and created this great economy, just say people came. Okay? People came and they created a great economy in South Africa. And what I love about South Africa is that they lived in harmony with the land in a way that we do not here in America. They were not these wasteful people. They lived in harmony. They had a communion. They had a spiritual communion with the land. Now, because of violence, there was a lot of racial tension. But what you see here with this video is that the racial tension was not universal. Okay? And what you need is more Jesus. Okay? What you
always need more Jesus.
What you need is more Jesus. And you can decide what kind of country and nation that you want to have. But by and large...
Stuart the Brit says, a lot of white farmers from Zimbabwe were given land in countries surrounding. They knew the value of these hardworking people and the economic power they are.
Yeah. So let's go on to something that I think was quite funny.
Is this another commercial break?
Kind of. So Worth a Look, I believe, sent me this video with Piers Morgan. I think I have the video up, or maybe it's I might have to find it. But the British Broadcasting Company, the BBC, tells primary school children that there are over 100 genders as part of its Teach video series, which has some concerned parents and observers up in arms. Did he send it to you too? Because I'm not sure if I have it up here.
I will look, but this already has me like shaking my head. The fact that we are,
you know, there are just so many gender identities, declares the head teacher in response to the child's question. We know that we have got male and female, but there are over 100, if not more, gender identities now.
Oh my gosh.
So
now, like, gender has evolved. So we started out with 2, and now it's kind of, you know what it is? It's like when you go from the wolf to all these different breeds of dogs. So that's how gender has evolved. So we started out with just 2, but now, over time, we have evolved. I get it. I totally get it. I'm really glad that they explained that to me, because I was really confused for a while. So now I understand why we have so many genders.
Got it right here. Okay.
You got the video?
Yeah.
You are transgender. I transitioned from male to female, but I've never referred to myself as transgender, and if I did, I think my friends would go ballistic. My opinion is there are 2 genders, male and female. Sometimes you're not lucky enough to be born into the right one, so you transition into the one that you suit the most.
Which seems to me eminently sensible, and I have complete respect for people that do that. It's not an easy process, physically, psychologically, emotionally, or any of those things. I salute you for your common sense. Now, let's bring you into this equation. You think it is right.
How do you identify?
I'm a man. That's right. So,
and gender, what are you?
I'm a cisgendered man.
What does cis mean?
So that means if you were born a woman, and therefore you still identify as a woman, so you're a cisgendered woman, I would say.
And that's because of my physical femaleness.
You identify with how you were born originally. Well, I assume you're a cisgendered
I'm not a cis anything,
if I may assume.
I'm not a cis anything.
Well,
I'm just a man.
Well, no, but you're a cisgendered man.
No, I'm not a cisgendered anything.
But hang on.
What does cis mean?
Well, that means that you were born the way that you identify now.
No, I'm just born a man.
But someone who transitions.
Why are you insisting on calling me something I'm not?
Well, you can refer to yourself as just a man if you like. But
I think most people identify as male or female, man or woman.
That's right. The vast majority of people. But that doesn't mean that there aren't other people who identify differently.
There are 100 different genders on this BBC list, apparently. Right? One of them is two-spirit person, polygender, pangender, neutroids, intergender.
I have to say,
do
you know what they mean? I have no idea what they mean, and I'm part.
Right. Well, luckily we have the world expert here. What is any of this?
Look, don't ask me to list off.
What's a two-spirit person?
I think that's someone who identifies with their native background into their gender.
Do you not think this is just like a vibe that somebody's having? Like when you tick a list, male or female, doing your passport or something, is this not just, this is just how they are? This is just a bit of a vibe.
Do you know what aporogender is?
No.
They're very sorry about
even though you support what the BBC is doing. This, by the way, this is the public broadcaster.
That what it is? No, I don't know.
Hang on. The public broadcaster, paid for by us with the licence fee, is now instructing children. There are 100 genders they can identify as. You have come to defend it, and you don't know what half of these are.
But hang on, Piers. Ignorance isn't a defence.
You're the ignorant one, and you're the one defending it.
Well, Piers, you're the one that doesn't know what it is as well, of course.
I'm about to tell you.
Do you know what?
Aporogender is a fairly new word stemming from the Greek apor, meaning separate. Aporogender is an umbrella term meaning a gender separate from male, female, and anything in between, while still having a very strong and specific gendered feeling. That latter part is key, then distinguishing it from agender.
Is this how they're explaining it to children?
By the way,
what the heck does
can you explain that to me? What does that mean?
Well, that means that someone identifies differently to you, and that's what is at the heart.
No. Can you explain what aporogender is, which is one of the 100 genders that kids now have to be? What is it?
I can repeat back what he said, but I don't understand it.
I get it. I totally get it. What they're saying is, I think that in their mind, they are a gender that is completely separate from male or female, or there aren't any other ones,
or anything
but a made-up gender. I think they are saying that they identify as a gender that is not male or female or anything in between of it. It's like an alien gender. Yeah. Okay, it's something that is, it's literally like an alien. Like, we believe that aliens exist. We don't, but society, some people in society believe that aliens exist, right?
Sure.
But we've never seen an alien. We have no evidence of an alien. It's completely alien to us and foreign. And so this person is saying, I feel a gender that no one has ever felt before. And that's what that means.
Well, hang on, it's not university challenged.
I've just told you what it is.
No, but this is for children, Benjamin.
Right.
This is what my problem with it.
When I was a
think
child,
it is university level. Yeah. For us to get our heads around 100 different gender identities, and I think Nicole makes a really good point. It's about personality,
yeah,
isn't it?
It's just their thing. If I was sat in, I spent my whole childhood watching The Animals of Farthing Wood. You're impressionable. You've got to be careful.
But you didn't identify.
No, but I thought I was a squirrel. I thought I was going to grow up and be surrounded in a tree, surrounded by nuts.
Benjamin, what is Neutroys?
Oh, come on. Are we going to go through all 100?
Do you know any of them?
I need to know what.
No offence, you come on national television to defend the BBC, telling kids there are 100 genders. I'm now reading out a number of these 100 genders. A, you've never heard of them. B, you've no idea what they are. But C, you want to encourage the BBC to instruct our kids that they should be one of these genders.
But that isn't the point. The fact is...
That is the point.
The fact is that people identify in different ways. And when you get bogged down by the idea that children might know that they're different, that they might be helped to understand why they're different, that the teachers teaching them might be prepared with the...
So I think that Nicole actually hit on the nail on the head by saying, isn't this just like a preference or a personality?
Yeah.
And the twisting of it to make it a gender thing.
Yeah.
Is what's really crazy and what's messing with kids. Like, you're a male or a female,
right?
And then you identify with your native roots. Why does that have to be a gender thing?
Yeah.
And everybody, and here's what I'm going to tell you what it's all about. We live in a society where parents leave and they both work, and children
want to feel
aren't
special,
feeling loved and like they're special. So when you go to school, there's one school that we covered that like 95% of the kids, or I don't know, like 75% of the kids are all turning to be transgender.
Right.
Because it makes you special and it makes you different.
Well, imagine walking into a room and every kid has a middle name but you.
Sure.
Okay. And the teacher says, okay, what is your first name? What's your middle name? What's your last name? And then you don't have a middle name and then you feel left out. And so like many kids in that situation have literally fabricated a middle name to just say, all right, this is my middle name, but it's not your middle name. It actually makes you unique that you don't have one. Okay. And so these kids are just searching for something that makes them not only special, but also fit in. They want to fit in with everybody else. So if the teacher is saying, you have to have one of these genders, okay, even if the child identifies as a male that wants to be a male, okay, the fact that they have to be put into that box of fitting into that 100 is wrong.
Well,
it's child abuse.
What makes it it is child abuse, is that this is the BBC. And in this video, which
this is government propaganda.
To see if I can find the video, the head teacher, in response to the child's question, how many genders there are, we know that we have got male and female, but there are over 100, if not more, gender identities now. The video for school children is aged 9 to 12, and it's part of a new 9 new BBC Teach films.
Wow.
Produced as support material for the personal, social, and health education curriculum in UK schools. And then you have this columnist, Celia Walden, who wrote a scathing review in the Telegraph here. What are the different gender identities? Ask a little boy. And then that's a really, really exciting question. Well, no, it's not. The answer is still less exciting, which is perhaps why, rather than give a boy a bald, biological, and distinctly boring fact too, the video cuts to a relationships and sex education teacher hopped up with her own gaping mindedness. You know, there are so many gender identities. She enthuses. We know we've got male and female, but there are over 100, if not more, gender identities now. Even by today's Emperor's New Clothes gender identity diversity narrative, 100 is pushing it.
And that's the thing. Okay, so pause your reading your article there, because this is what
Facebook currently lists 71 complex and hilariously repetitive options for those who feel manacled by the oh so reductive male and female.
Okay, so I guess on some planet, I could go so far as to say, all right, we've got male, we've got female, we've got people who are born male that want to be a female, and people that are born female that identify as a male. Okay, so there we have 4 different genders, all right? And so that's fine. And then you could, I feel like, if you really wanted to, you could take it so far as you are a male that identifies as a female that is still attracted to, instead of being a homosexual, you are attracted to females. So you are
Caitlyn Jenner.
All right, exactly. So I guess I could take it kind of that far, but to go to like 100 is absolutely absurd.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. But even then we can't take it that far, because then your gender is not your identification.
They have taken
You are a biologically a man or a woman, okay? Now, in my opinion, and it is right, even if you change your body outer parts to look like something else, okay, that doesn't change how you were born. The only gray water here are hermaphrodites.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of feel like all of these people that want to be identified as some sort of weird gender, it's like they're just sad they weren't born a hermaphrodite. I'm like, are you serious? Like,
so they're not playing the video then, so you can't find it on YouTube.
And a lot of homosexuals are actually incredulous at this as well. Okay,
sure.
We've had people that watch Resistance chicks that are gay, and they're like, listen, this is ridiculous. I'm a man, I'm a homosexual. That's it. It's that simple.
But your gender doesn't change.
Yeah.
Your preferences in life may change.
Yeah.
You may like chocolate cake. You may like, vanilla cake. You may like no cake. You may be a vegan. You may do this. But your gender itself doesn't change. So, and despite 4 years at medical school where you'd hope the basics had been covered, your local GP will only recognize 6 genders. Male, female, gender neutral, non-binary, gender fluid, and gender queer. But children, insists the BBC's relationships and sex education teacher Kate Daniels in the film, might well find these too limiting and think to themselves, I don't really want to be anything in particular. I'm just going to be me. Chart the gender diversity madness back to its origins and you'll find that I am just going to be me. Ironically, a concept young, agenda-free children naturally embrace is at the root of it all. And beyond my horror at the propagation of misinformation and the upholding of this noxious nonsense by a corporation whose journalistic duty is to deal not in fads but in facts, is the fear that we'll make this new generation of children as self-obsessed as the supposed grown-ups, willingly warping their minds. Self-expression may have been prized since ancient Egyptians first began drawing hieroglyphics, but not until the 1960s did it start becoming fetished in the way it is today, when expressing yourself no longer means appreciating individuality and producing something of wider cultural value to be enjoyed by others, a work of art, say, that might enrich the world around you, but folding in on yourself and behaving in an unashamedly selfish way. So like teenagers with far more tools of self-expression at their disposal than old hair dye, piercings, and tattoos that, generations before used to make do with, people will play around with their identities and pronouns well into adulthood, going into work dressed as Alex one day and Alexa the next because they've been told that they can. Never mind that the client has no idea who they'll be meeting from one day to the next. There used to be a psychological term.
You literally have multiple personalities.
It's called multiple personalities. And that taking your personal whimsies into the workplace is a hypothesis of unprofessionalism. You're just expressing yourself, aren't you? Along with all the myriad incarnations of that wonderful bottomless you. Likewise, the health and nutritional idiosyncrasies we all now like to shout from the rooftops. I can't eat that, I'm vegan, keto, 5-2ing, are pure self-expression and therefore hallowed. So whereas I was brought up to leave anything I couldn't or wouldn't eat discreetly on the side of the plate, we must now all be made to know and care about other people's fumbles. As women, we're encouraged to express ourselves by locating our period pride and brandishing tampons in the office before talking loud and proud about the menopause once we start going through that. And perhaps I'd find all this self-expression a little more exciting in exactly the way that relationships and sex education teacher found the idea of 100+ genders if we were focused on something less superficial and narcissistic. And of course, it's all a lie, because what the 9 to 12-year-old children in those BBC videos weren't told was that they would only be free to express themselves in one way, the right way. So that if one of the girls later chose to express herself in a more traditional manner, say by wearing a skirt, secondary schools like Laos, now infamous primary school, which this term it made gender-neutral trousers compulsory for new and existing students, that would not be allowed. In fact, she would be turned away from school, all of which is likely to leave with a generation of lost, confused, and angry young adults asking a question we will find in a very difficult answer. How did you let this happen? Which is true. I have an article up that said, I don't know if I closed it out or not, but they, the UK, there's a school that is making it so that there's girls are banned from wearing skirts at school to protect their modesty. And then there was another one to make gender neutral. So all girls have to wear trousers now. And so in the whole gender and the expressionism, and to not make, I guess, transgender boys feel, they don't want transgender boys to wear skirts. So all the girls now have to wear shorts.
Oh, interesting. Wow.
Yeah. So there is that. And this author was so hilariously, though, as they put it, it's all narcissistic. And it all happens to do with, in my opinion, the rise of the internet. Well, the rise of the internet has led to a lot of great information being shared back and forth. But it's also led to this narcissistic, selfie society. Michelle and I come and bring you shows because we have we think too much. We have too many words. Okay? And we have to get them out. Okay? And we hope that we're adding a broader cultural thing. We don't come to you talking about us or ourselves. We come to you because we want to share knowledge. And if that's what this was about, teaching children to learn something and express themselves, like, this is what used to happen. What are you interested in? Go find out as much as you can and share that with somebody else.
Exactly.
If you want to be a zookeeper and you want to be Steve Irwin, oh, crikey, and you want to learn about catching crocodiles, and then you want to go tell everybody about it, I learned about crocodiles, and here's what I learned, and I want to share it. That is expressing yourself. And we need children who, I want to be an astronaut, or I want to be a fireman, or I want to be the first one to go to the moon. Ha ha. Did we ever go to the moon? That was a joke for the day. Ba-boom ching. You know, you want to be different, then do something good for society. You know, I want to come up with a new way to make a medical device that doesn't require plastic and doesn't require fossil fuels and fuels. If you want to combat climate change, and you would encourage children not to be afraid, but to think and go out into the environment and say, environment, planet, what would you like us to do today?
Right. Well, and I'll tell you why they do this. Because if you can get a subject, a human being, to focus solely on themselves, you can do whatever you want to them and their society without their knowledge and without their noticing. If you can get somebody focused just totally on
the narcissism,
where most people are not predisposed to narcissism.
Right.
What happens is, as soon as you open up a Facebook account and somebody likes one of your photos or comments on one of your posts, an endorphin arises in your brain, and all of a sudden it feeds it, and then you become a narcissist, whereas previously you were not.
Right.
But it's a tactic that could come straight out of 1984 to get people to be so self-focused.
Right.
Focus on yourself. It's all about you. It's all about you. And it goes back to Satanism, where you can look at the T-shirts that Jay-Z wears and so on and so forth that says, you know,
I am that will. I am the whole, the law.
I am God. I am
Crowley.
The devil doesn't have anything new. And so when he comes at this generation with this puff smoke magic or whatever, it's just look at yourself.
It's the 90s generation.
You are the God. You everything is about you.
It's the 90s generation on steroids. I mean, the 90s generation went down that road with Green Day and just everything started to feel so inward and angry.
Whatever makes you feel good.
Yeah, whatever makes you happy. I'm living my best life. We'll have to tell you, these people who look like they're living their best lives, if you see somebody who looks like they're living their best life, inwardly, they're probably not. Right. Because if you take that much time to make your life look perfect, it's not perfect. Right. Okay? Because if you see people who are flawed, who show up and somebody takes a picture of them while they're eating a hamburger and they're looking frumpy and they got makeup on, or you see something like that, they're probably living a better life. Because if you're trying, and the Instagram people, they work so hard to be so perfect, and it eats them away when it's not perfect. It hurts them when it's not perfect. That's not living your best life. Okay, so I would encourage you to only follow people who do not try and look perfect. You follow the people who you can see in their imperfections, because they're not going to go commit suicide the next day because their hair was out of place. Right. You know what I mean? Like, this is a very dangerous thing that we even do on coming to you, because as soon as you start to get famous, then people will rip you to shreds. Yeah. They will come after you. They will destroy you, and you have to have, like, Katie Hopkins, I believe, has this narcissistic defense mechanism, but her defense mechanism is to go after other people. Donald Trump's defense mechanism is to go after other people. We don't do that, so we don't have a defense mechanism, so that we can only go to God for our defense mechanism. Exactly. Okay. Although I appreciate
we've been really blessed, because by and large, most of the time, people support what we're doing.
Well, but here's the thing: when we were going viral, it was crazy. Right. And if we were going viral and we were talking about Muslims, then we would get rape threats and death threats and crazy things that were like off the wall. Right. And so, you know, it is what it is. But yeah, don't be narcissistic.
All right, last story.
Okay. Salvini, he's down, but he is not out. This is Salvini attacks the Italian PM. Maya, leave the chair to him, but I will keep my dignity.
I'll leave the chair to him, but I will keep my dignity. That's translated from Italian.
Populist former Interior Minister Matteo Salvini launched an attack on Prime Minister Conte, stating that he may have left his post as a minister, but he keeps his dignity. Salvini, who leads the Lega, Italy's most popular party in opinion polling, said that Mr. Conte has completely changed. In 15 days, he did instead the exact opposite with respect to the last 15 months. I gladly leave their palaces and their messes to them. I'll hold on to the real Italy and the affections of 1 million of Italians, always ahead on. He went on to discuss the final days of the previous coalition, claiming that his former coalition partners, the Five Star Movement, has chosen Macron and Merkel instead of Italy. Now they have formed this government, but it will not last long. Sooner or later, the Italians will be able to vote, and I do not think they will go far. They said it. This government was born to keep Salvini away from power. We will try to limit their damage. I will not even buy an ice cream cone from Conte today.
Is he selling ice cream? I want some ice cream.
It is expected that part of the new coalition deal between the Five Star Movement and the establishment Democrat Party will involve the reopening of ports and the migrant transports. The flood that's really going to cause you to sink. But there's more. I have another article on Salvini here. Salvini. The poll says the Italians are unhappy with the new leftist government. From Rome, a significant majority of Italians would have preferred snap elections rather than the unelected coalition government that excluded their most popular party, the national poll revealed Thursday. If election were held today, the Lega Party would handily take first place with 33.3% of the votes, with the second place Democratic Party trailing at just 23%. The Five Star Movement comes in next with 19%, followed by Silvio Forza Italy Party, 7.8%, and there's another one, Brothers of Italy, with 7%. Bringing up the rear are the more European Party with 2.6%, and the left at a mere 1.8%. Despite the Lega's popularity, the current government was cobbled together in August without them in a last-ditch effort to avoid national elections. Together, the Five Star Movement and the Democratic Party were able to scrap together just enough seats to form a government, although the willingness of the Five Star, which has defined itself as populist and anti-establishment, to form a government with the ultra-establishment PD, left onlookers as well as its own members perplexed. There's a video out where I guess the Lega leader MPs were interrupting and shouting at Conte as he spoke for an hour and a half, saying elections.
Wow, that's really
powerful.
powerful.
The poll conducted by EMG Aqua found that 48% of voters have little or no confidence in the recently launched executive, with only 30% saying that they have much or some confidence in the coalition government. Well over half, 58%, said the August government crisis should have been resolved with snap elections.
Right.
While 39% said that forging a new executive was the way to go. Unsurprisingly, over 3/4 of the PD voters, 78%, said they were happy that the Italians did not go back to the voting booth. Of course, that was the establishment, since their party would never have wound up with anything. So they got, yay. Similarly, among 5-star supporters, only 39% would have wanted to go to the polls because they would have been knocked out.
Of course.
But nonetheless, 45% of 5-star voters would consider the alliance with the PD to be a mistake.
Wow.
So
that's next to half of them.
The only mistake, the Salvini says, is I was naive. I thought I was living in a democratic country. So.
Whoa. Oh my gosh.
We had some more news, a little talk about Sweden there, but we can leave that for a go. I don't think there's anything else too much of it going on there over the pond. Oh yeah, one more thing. Trump confirms the U.S. killed Osama bin Laden's son.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Successor to Hamza. President Donald Trump released a statement Saturday confirming that the U.S. has killed Osama bin Laden's son and successor Hamza bin Laden in a successful counterterrorism operation. I'm guessing for the anniversary of 9/11. The counterterrorism operation occurred in the Afghanistan-Pakistan region, according to Trump's statement. It added that the Al-Qaeda's loss of Hamza directly undermines their important operational activities of the group and is symbolic in nature. Yeah, I just thought that I would share that. I guess the reports of Hamza's death first surfaced in July, although details were scarce. So, and Trump didn't comment it at the time. So
wow,
we're commenting now. So,
all right. Do you want to sing this song with the guitar? This one.
We could try.
Okay. So what I'm going to do is that we're going to take a minute and we're going to set it up.
We're going to set it up.
We're going to set it up. All right. So, all right. Well, let me get rid of this. See, I really try to work hard on this lighting throughout the show. So let's at least get that back.
Okay.
All right.
You want me to get the guitar? Are we coming back here?
Well, I think we're gonna go on an angle. Hang on, we're gonna spin it. No, we're just gonna go. Now there's no one on camera.
No one on camera.
We're gonna show up and say, "Wait, where's Leah and Michelle?" Here we are. We're right here. Here we are. So we tried to be prepared in that we picked a song, but we didn't practice it.
Okay,
so you're getting another one of those moments.
Why don't you start with Lord of the Fitting More High? We can go that one.
Okay.
That could be a good starter. That one was in my head this week.
All right. Well, I need to figure out where I'm putting you. So I'm gonna go.
Shoes on and I don't.
Well, yep. So you're gonna look like a midget.
I will stand on my tiptoes. I don't know how long I can do that.
You don't need to tiptoe.
Okay.
But I do need to figure out. Okay, I'm here.
So
you're
we're
coming
kind of
in.
matching today.
Yeah, and you're going to be there.
Okay.
It's good. So, just stay there. Don't move.
If you're just joining us, sometimes we like to do a little praise and worship, and we always try to have a song prepared, but we never really do. So this is a song that we used to sing a lot. I know there's a lot of modern-ish songs, praise and worship songs, but when you come here, you're in the 90s channel. So we're in the praise and worship 90s channel.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hang on, I'm trying to get this so I could see it at the same time, but I don't think that's gonna work. I just want to make sure you're gonna be on the. There we go. That'll work. Wait a minute. No, I just wanted it just the way I had it. Look at me talking to the... No. There we go. Nope, that's not what I want either. I'm really failing here. Here we go.
Lord, I love to sing.
I'm so lift your name on high. I'm so glad you're in my life. I'm so glad you came to save us. You came from heaven to earth to show the way, from the earth to the cross, my debt to pay, from the cross to the grave, from the grave to the sky. Lord, I lift your name on high. Lord, I lift your name on high. Lord, I love to sing your praise. I love to sing. I'm so glad you're in my life. I'm so glad you came to save us. You came from heaven to earth to show the way, from the earth to the cross, my debt to pay, from the cross to the grave, from the grave to the sky. Lord, I lift your name on high. Lord, I lift your name on high. Lord, I love to sing your praise. I love to sing. I'm so glad you're in my life. I'm so glad you came to save us. You came from heaven to earth to show the way, from the earth to the cross, my debt to pay, from the cross to the grave, from the grave to the sky. Lord, I lift your name on high. You came from heaven to earth to show the way, from the earth to the cross, my debt to pay, from the cross to the grave, from the grave to the sky. Lord, I lift your name on high. You came from heaven to earth to show the way, from the earth to the cross, my debt to pay, from the cross to the grave, from the grave to the sky. Lord, I lift your name on high. All right.
So dare you. We're going to try another one.
You really want to try it?
Maybe.
Okay.
Maybe.
Maybe.
I don't think I've ever played this one.
Well,
We sang it. I heard it.
this one's called Amazing Love.
You guys, you know this one.
You do know this one.
Hope this is the right key.
It's probably not that low. Spirit lives within me because you died and rose again. Nope, that's not it either. Play it again. Just keep playing these chords. As you were forsaken.
That's too high.
I'm accepted. No, try bring it down. Nope.
There's worship chords.
I think you can sing it in your talking voice in that key. Find that key. You were condemned. Now sing it in your talking voice. I'm alive and well. Your spirit lives within me because you died and rose again. All right, we probably won't be able to do it.
Okay, we can do this. Worshipchords.net.
Okay.
Amazing Love. And we're going to put it in a different key. Worshipchords.net. And we're going to bring it down a little bit. A lot of these, you can't spell chords, but it's fine. Try. And then put in Amazing Love. And then we will transpose it into the right key. That's probably it.
This one?
Hillsong United down here.
Oops.
Yeah, that's fine. All right,
it's the same chords.
Okay, no. It's a transposing site is what I'm trying to tell you.
Okay.
Key. So we want to bring it down. So let's try F. We're gonna.
It doesn't.
It does. Give me the power.
She's obsessed with power.
Here we go. Right here. That's how you do it.
Okay.
Usually F is good to go down
F
to.
is
We'll
good.
see.
Let's try it.
Well, let's try this. Yeah. Down one more time.
Unaccepted. You were condemned.
Yeah, we'll go down. We can go down. We can keep going down.
We're going down. We're going down to the river. Down to the river. We should play that one. Have we ever played that one?
Yeah, we did. We played that last.
Did we really?
Yeah. We really. That doesn't even sound weird. That doesn't even sound right. I don't know.
Aren't you guys so glad that you're here?
I know. How long are you going to stay with us? We're going to see. We're going to try this last one. Try the chorus. Just go straight to the chorus.
Okay.
I have it in my head. Why can't I find the right one?
Keep playing
Amazing love, how can it be that you, my king, would die for me? I'm gonna try C. We're gonna try C. We're gonna try this one. Okay. Amazing love, how can it be?
There it is.
That you, my king, would die for me. Amazing love, I know it's true, and it's my joy to honor you in all I do. Let me honor you. I'm forgiven because you were forsaken. I'm accepted. You were condemned. I'm alive and well, your spirit lives within me because you died and rose again. Amazing love, how can it be that you, my king, would die for me? Amazing love, I know it's true. It's my joy to honor you in all I do, to honor you. I'm forgiven because you were forsaken. I'm accepted. You were condemned. And I'm alive and well. Your spirit is within me because you died and rose again. Amazing love, how can it be that you, my king, would die for me? Amazing love, I know it's true, and it's my joy to honor you in all I do. To honor you. Is there not other words to that?
That's it.
How does that bridge go?
I have no idea.
Okay, well.
Can we sing it any faster? Like the chorus part? I feel like if we could sing the chorus part a little faster, it would be more fun.
Well, we're going to bring it up. I'm forgiven because you were forsaken. I'm accepted. You were
So I'm so glad that you guys are here with us. I'm so glad that you are part of our Resistance Chicks family.
And our pre-rehearsal.
Yeah.
Live.
That too. I'm glad that you support us. I want you to like, comment, and subscribe to our videos. And when I say comment, I really mean it. The more comments you leave on our videos after the fact, just because you left something in the chat, leave it in the comment section. It really, really does help. Share our videos. Get the message out there. Patriot Gallery works really hard.
She's been cutting up the videos.
Cutting up the videos so you guys can have shorter videos.
Trying to get around that censorship algorithm.
Exactly. So thanks to Patriot Gallery. We will be back on Friday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for our weekly roundup. And hopefully before that. You never know. We've got a studio. Yes, hopefully we will have a Bible study this week. So, John, I think we're in 21. I'm really excited about that. I think we are. I probably just said that wrong, but I think we are. So you guys are a blessing. Thank you to all of our moderators who were here today and everybody that was in the chat contributing to a wonderful show. It was a great show. Good job, Leah.
Thank you. Good job, Michelle.
Thank you. Remember, guys, it's not just a conspiracy theory if it's actually the truth. We love you. God loves you.
One more time.
Okay. Just kidding. We're going again.
On our way out.
Okay.
Amazing love, how can it be
that you, my king, would die for me?
Yeah.
Amazing love, I know it's true. And it's my joy to honor you in all I do, to honor you. All right, you guys. God bless.